Each season, summer, fall, and winter, spring, the Loft schedules a huge variety of writing classes. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce one of our instructors who teaches for multiple genres, Roxanne Sadovsky. Roxanne, could you introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved at the Loft?
Sure. So I'm Roxanne Sadovsky, and I started at the Loft, I think, when I was in grad school at the U of M way ago. Um, like in 2001, I came here, and I think I met some people who were affiliated with the Loft, and then just made some connections. And then I think right after grad school is when I started teaching there full time, not full time, but regularly, I should say. So yeah.
And the majority, if not all, of your classes incorporate an element of healing. Could you talk about how you see healing and writing interacting?
Oh my gosh, that's many hours long, but because there's so many ways that they interact in many unexpected ways, which is what I've discovered over the many years. It's you can write to healing prompts, and there's so many ways to do that. Specific ways that will really get some healing flowing and to go kind of go deeper into yourself, go into your body. You can write conversations with people, that you never got to have. I mean, there's all kinds of wonderful things, um, which is wonderful. But the real healing, which I found and what makes it just so magical, is the writing in community, and writing together with a group, whether it's a group of 3 or a group of 50 or a group of 20 or nice intimate size like at the Loft. You could write about the walk you went on yesterday, and it would be incredibly healing. And so it's really just the kind of reciprocity between people, the kind of give and take of offering and receiving stories, um, whether they're fictional or just kind of quickly written, poems, or there's just a real magic that happens. It's very healing over time. So, and the cool thing is the longer you write with people, or even kind of right away, you start to form an empathy, like a connection with them. And it's really quite amazing how our empathy kicks in just by listening. And of course, by the end of a class, you have so much love for these people, for everybody. It's like writing family kind of. So, yeah, so that's what so just blows me away every day.
And going off of that a little bit, what is it that you're really hoping students will walk away from your class having gained?
Yeah, I think to have kind of like first and foremost, kind of cultivating a safe space for themselves to be able to write whenever they want, to know that here's my place I can go to. It's not a scary place, it's not a competitive place, but it's just a place where you can go and be. Because writing really teaches us, whether we're writing alone or together, how to befriend ourselves, and how to be good with ourselves. And it's hard. I mean, it takes some time, but it's really like just building relationships. So I think if they can kind of leave class and have that foundation, I am very happy, as well as the love of writing. I think, we all know, and, writing can be hard and lonely, but a lot of times there's kind of some unnecessary suffering that gets kind of added to that. Like, I'm not a writer. I have to sound like so and so. There's a lot of fear, and of course that makes sense. There's a lot of writing trauma that I think people carry around, myself included, of course. The things we learn and the way that the kind of the culture around writing can be, somewhat competitive and all that stuff. So I think to be able to just do it because you love it, which is very, very possible. And it's just kind of figuring out where you can find that inside, where you can like sync up with your body, and what you're writing, so you're in that flow. And then it just becomes very addicting. So yeah.
So you've been teaching for 20 years at the Loft.
Oh my gosh, is it really 20? Holy cow. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that's great. That's fabulous. Yeah.
Have your
Wow.
classes, was writing like always connected to healing? Was it always a medium for that? Or when you started teaching classes, were they a little bit broader?
I think both. I mean, I think from a young age, personally, when I wrote it, I never thought to myself, of course, this is healing writing because I was a kid, but I literally was writing myself into kind of a more spacious life. Um, I had a wonderful childhood, but like everybody else, it was, had its, you know, fair share of dysfunction and there were some hard times. And I just somehow organically wrote myself into different spaces enough that I could feel it. And so that was always happening. And I think that same thing happened, in the classes I taught. I taught writing and healing in grad school prior to doing an MFA program and teaching at the Loft. I did, and got my, I'm a therapist, so I got the degree in therapy, and had to do practicum and did a lot of writing healing groups. And again, it wasn't really what we wrote about or what we learned. It was just that it was healing just to write and share. And also was like, wow, that's amazing writing, just as organic on the spot writing. Um, so I think they go together. I mean, when I teach like the healing memoir, it's both about being able to write, healing to healing prompts, as well as kind of looking at uh, the process of that and the sharing and the healing that comes out of that naturally. And I've done more like kind of, I don't want to say craftsy, but like, maybe more like, yeah, like some show versus tell classes, I think. I'm trying to remember. I know there've been some that have been very specific to, maybe a couple were like on how to do like interviewing and stuff, not particular to that title, like more journalistic, I mean. But and there's always some craft, but the healing comes through. It just is. So I think that kind of is infuses whatever I teach, even if it's not like this is the focus. So that is always there. And it's, yeah. So and they go together. They go together. So I hope that makes sense. If that kind of a jumble of of an answer, but I hope that makes sense.
It does. Yes, it definitely does. And I just have one more question for you. You mentioned before that there can be pain in writing, and especially this doubt of like, I'm not really a writer. And so I'm curious because I'm guessing that you get folks of all sorts of writing backgrounds who come into your classes. How do you try and nullify that fear?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely like making it a safe space, which depending on the group can happen in a number of ways. One of the things that I do that I have been just amazed to see what happens over the years is I give most of my students, on the first day we get buddies. And so they have a person and they mix and they move around in their pairs, but so you have a safe person that you can connect to for like just whatever, like get together and read and write and share assignments. Um, and then, and so I've seen people that have had, to this day from 20 years ago, they're still friends. It's so cool. But that safe connection and knowing this is a safe space, there's no right or wrong. If you're afraid, that's okay too, but let's just put it out there and let's write about that. If you're not afraid, I would be surprised. Everyone's afraid, and everyone comes in, kind of, and have their judgments or expectations, which we all do when we go into a room. But then pretty soon when they start reading and sharing, it's everyone, oh, okay, it just kind of like relaxes a little bit. So I always tell, students to take off their shoes if they like, to be comfortable, to just as much as feels safe to them to be in their bodies. We write from our bodies, so just a lot of that, and just to really kind of name and normalize whatever they're feeling. So, um, I have a kind of a corny sense of humor, so I try my best to kind of, you know, set boundaries and kind of keep, um, be engaging, and playful, I guess. So, and then really get them to connect with each other, which is people are hungry for. So that's kind of how that goes. So
I love that idea of a classroom as a community. And for our viewers, if you are looking to find Rox's classroom/community, you can do so by visiting theloft.org/classes. You can find our full summer lineup there as well. And Rox, thank you again so much for being here with us today. This was really wonderful hearing you talk about.
thank you so much, Savannah. Really wonderful to talk. And I'm, as always, so grateful for the Loft and all the amazing students and community I've met over the years. And so wonderful writing life. So thank you.